Hey listeners, I know I'm just a nurse telling a story, but please leave a like and subscribe before we start. Let's enjoy today's story. You know, it all started out as something I could easily shrug off. Being a night shift nurse for nearly a decade, I've seen my fair share of strange things. Hospitals at night, they're not like in the daytime. There's this eerie quiet that seems to settle over everything, as if the walls themselves are holding their breath. You get used to the darkness, the hum of machines, the whispers of the night. But no matter how much you think you're used to it, there are things you just can't explain. I'm Renee Langford, 32 years old. On the outside, I seem pretty normal, kind, practical, a little too invested in my job. But beneath the surface, I carry some baggage, let's call it. Things I don't talk about, things I prefer to forget. But these calls, they wouldn't let me forget. They pulled me back into the darkness I thought I had left behind. It all started on a Tuesday night, a little after midnight. I was making my rounds, checking in on my patients when my phone buzzed. I glanced at it. It wasn't my work phone, just my personal one. Who the hell would be calling me at this hour? The screen was blank, no caller ID, no number. Weird, right? I hesitated for a second, then answered. No one said anything at first, just static. I was about to hang up when I heard it. A whisper, a low, raspy voice. He's going to die. I froze. I don't know why, but something about the voice chilled me to my bones. I felt like I was being watched, like someone was standing right behind me. I turned, but the hall was empty, just the usual dim glow of the fluorescent lights. I shook it off. Weird prank, right? Maybe some kid messing around. I hung up and went about my night. But then, the next day, one of my patients passed away. He was old, had been sick for a while, so no one was really surprised. But I couldn't shake the feeling that the call and his death were connected. I mean, it's not like the guy was on death's door when I checked on him earlier that night. He was stable, or so I thought. Then it happened again. The next night, around the same time, midnight, my phone buzzed. Same deal. No number, just static. But this time, the whisper was clearer. She's going to die. My heart pounded in my chest as I tried to convince myself it was just a prank. But when I checked the beds in the ward, I had a feeling I knew who she was. A young woman, car accident victim, stable condition but not out of the woods yet. The next morning she was dead. I know what you're thinking. People die in hospitals, Renee. It happens. And yeah, you're right. But not like this. Not like they're on some kind of invisible hit list. At first, I told myself it was just a coincidence. Bad luck, maybe. But after the third night, after the third death, I couldn't ignore it anymore. Someone, or something, was warning me. I didn't tell anyone at work. How could I? Oh, hey, by the way, I'm getting creepy phone calls that predict our patients' deaths. They'd think I was losing it, and honestly, part of me wondered if I was. But I couldn't shake it. So I started keeping track. Each night, the call came. Each night, a patient died. And the whispers, they were getting louder, more urgent. Like whoever was calling me needed me to know something. Or maybe they needed me to do something. One night, after another call, this time the whisper told me about a man in room 402, I decided I had to do something. I couldn't just wait around for another person to die. So I went to room 402, hoping I could somehow intervene, stop whatever was happening. The patient was an older man recovering from surgery. His vitals were fine, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I stayed with him, watching over him through the night, trying to figure out what I was supposed to do. That's when I saw it. At first, I thought it was just a shadow, maybe a trick of the light. But then I saw it move. In the corner of the room, something dark, like a figure made of shadow, creeping toward the bed. I wanted to scream, but my voice caught in my throat. I couldn't move. It was like I was frozen, forced to watch as this thing hovered over the old man. And then, just as quickly as it had appeared, it vanished. I rushed to the man's bedside, checked his vitals. He was still alive, barely. I called for help, and the doctors managed to stabilize him. But I knew it was only a matter of time before he was gone. The calls kept coming, and I kept trying to stop the deaths, but it never worked. No matter what I did, the patients always died. And each time, I saw that shadow, creeping closer, like it was feeding on them, feeding on their fear, their life. It took me a while to realize that the calls weren't just warnings. They were part of something bigger, something darker. And the more I tried to interfere, the more I became part of it. One night, the call came as usual. But this time, the voice wasn't talking about a patient. This time, it said my name. Renee, you're going to die. I dropped the phone. My heart was racing, my mind spinning. I didn't know what to do. I tried to convince myself it was just a sick joke, that maybe I was imagining the whole thing. But deep down, I knew it was real. The shadow, the deaths, they were all connected to me. And then I remembered. Years ago, when I was a kid, I used to get these calls. I had completely forgotten about them. But now it all made sense. Back then, they were just whispers, vague threats. But now they were real. The last few days have been a blur. I haven't slept. I can't think straight. Every night, the shadow gets closer. I see it in the corners of my vision, creeping toward me, waiting for its moment. I don't know how much time I have left, but if you're listening to this, maybe you can figure out what I couldn't. Maybe you can stop it. But whatever you do, don't answer the call. This is the end of the story.